The Mesoamerican ball game is the oldest known team sport in the world. It was practiced by ancient pre-Columbian cultures of Central America and played almost a millennium before the establishment of the first Greek Olympic Games. The game was fast-paced, and often brutal where the losing team lost their lives. The ball game had a lot of ritual significance, so the game was a regular occurrence. The game was meant to reflect the court of the heaven which represented the sun, and the ball court of the underworld where the sun would pass at night. The game itself represents the battle between day and night. The Aztecs believed that human blood sacrifices were needed to keep the sun moving in the sky. The ball court was normally in the shape of an eye, however the shape of the courts would vary based on the location of the city it was found in. Around the court was sloped walls that covered the length of the court. The surrounding outer walls would be between the height of 8 to 11 feet high. The court length would vary between 100 to 200 feet long. In the court there would be a center line and 6 markers along the sloped walls. In the center of the sloped walls were 2 stone-carved hoops that were between 30 to 35 inches in diameter. Surrounding the court were seating areas for spectators, including the scorekeepers and judges. The walls along the court would often have skull racks of the sacrificed victims from previous games. The ball, or ully, was made of hard rubber and weighed between 5 to 9 pounds. Historians believed that some of the balls were made with a human skull that was used as the center, then covered with rubber to form the ball. The human skull was believed to be the leader of the losing team from the previous game. Due to the weight of the ball and the high-speed movement of the ball, the players often wore protective gear. The players wore guards that were made of deerskin on their chin, hips, thigh, hands, and cheek. This equipment was worn to protect the players as they dove on the stone courts to keep the ball in play. Historians believed that the teams varied in size based on the host of the game. Teams would have anywhere from 2 to 6 players. The main objective of the game was to get the ball through the stone hoop. However, this was extremely difficult. Sometimes if a game goes on too long, the team would only need to score once for the game to be over. Sometimes ball courts in other cities didn't have any stone rings, only the 6 markers on the wall. Due to it being hard to get the ball through the hoop, there was other objectives the players could accomplish. Players could hit one of the 6 markers or would be given points for skillful plays based on the judges' opinions. Fouls were often given if a player from the other team stepped over the center line into the opponent's side of the court, or if they touched the ball with the wrong part of the body. The ball was never allowed to touch the ground and the players could only touch the ball with their elbows, knees, hips or head. The Aztec ball game is still played today, known as ulama. The game can often be found in the Mexican state of Sinaloa. The dance of voladores dates back to ancient times and has been passed down through generations. The ritual begins with 5 men circling a tall pole dancing to ask permission from the gods to climb it. They then climb the pole and position themselves on a small wooden rotating platform at the top. The man playing the music is called the caporal. He stands in the center, playing his flute and drum, and does a dance, facing each of the 4 cardinal directions in turn. The caporal does not wear any sort of protection or harness when he performs his dance on top of the pole. The platform begins to spin and the 4 voladores launch themselves off and begin rotating the pole upside down. They are attached by a rope around the waist, and remain in a upside down position. The caporal is the only one that remain on top of the pole as the other descend. In their descent, each volador circles the pole 13 times for a total of 52 rotations, representing the number of years in the Mesoamerican calendar cycle. The 4 voladores who descend to the ground represent the cardinal directions, and the caporal at the top of the pole represents the 5th direction, vertical, the center of the universe. The origin of the ritual come from the Totonacapan area of Veracruz. There was a time where food and water became scarce, so a group of elders met to find a solution. They decided that a ceremony should be performed to ask the gods to return the rain and fertility to the soil. They instructed some young men of the community to locate the tallest and straightest tree in the forest and bring it back to the village. They stripped the tree of its leaves and branches, dug a hole to stand it upright, and blessed the site with ritual offerings. Then they performed a ritual to the god Xipe-Totec, the god of agriculture and springtime, so that the rains would return and nurture the soil, and their crops would flourish. The men adorned their bodies with feathers so that they would appear like birds, thereby attracting the gods' attention to their request. Some common volador costumes represented eagles, owls, crows, parrots, and quetzal birds.